Hey everyone, it's LS, and this is the patch 11.18 notes rundown. You may notice that I am currently in a change of scenery as I have moved to an entirely different part of Korea several hours away from NEMESIS. However, he is here for this video. This is the World's patch, the most important patch of the year, and so I figured we should probably just dive into it because this is the patch that is supposed to shape the meta. All that I know about it is that apparently there is a lot of changes. Having a lot of changes doesn't mean that there's a lot of substance to them, and so we'll have to figure out what exactly that means, but okay, let's get into it. Aphelios, base attack damage decreased by 2. Now, this is actually way different, I think, than the original changes that they had him slated for. They had him, like, missing a lot of other stuff, right, when the nerf was going to initially go live, unless, like, the text here that I have for making this is, like, wrong or something. But this is pretty reserved. I mean, I don't know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, they initially had the attack speed, also got it, but it seems like they pulled back. I mean, I think Aphelios is really strong, so these nerfs are kind of deserved. Even though he doesn't have like high presence in pro play yet, I would assume he would get it eventually.
Yeah, and okay, so I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, Aphelios should be getting picked conditionally. So I mean, I don't think a 280 nerf is gonna gut him at all. Ashe, W cooldown increased early. So this is actually pretty surprising because you and I think during one of the LEC co-streams or live views, were talking about if Ashe was ever going to be hit, I thought it would have been Hawkshot would have been the thing that ended up getting tagged first, but W volley going up by such a high cooldown early on is actually pretty obnoxious because AD carries level slower than other champions and whatnot, so even at rank 3, you're still missing 2 seconds off of her W, which is her spammable ability, even though, yeah, by level 9, you get it back entirely.
Yeah, and Ashe is right now picked a lot because of the shield bow, rage build or whatever it's going on. But the thing is, like, I feel like pro players should still pick Ashe regardless of this nerf, but I have a feeling they might not, just because these small nerfs, they completely change their minds usually. So I guess we'll see.
And I mean, speaking about things changing their minds, Camille, who was going unpicked forever, randomly obviously started popping up a lot. Passive cooldown increased early. Camille's Steel-like resilience is a bit too high for her scaling power, so we're nerfing her shield early to make her more vulnerable in lane. Cooldown 16 to 10 seconds at levels 1, 7, 13 to 20 to 10 seconds at levels 1, 7, 13. So even when she has her passive up, it's a conditional usage. So I don't think these microseconds that they're adding onto it actually matters. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a passive that you time your usage of it. It's not something like you're immediately using every single time it's off cooldown.
I think in some matchups you actually do. Like if you're playing Jax versus Camille, I feel like you're perma using it. So I think this nerf is only impactful first 7 levels. After that, it's really whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Draven. So this is a really interesting one. R now executes based on adoration stacks. Passive, League of Draven. Adoration stack count updates will be displayed in all chat, not just team chat. R Whirling Death. If Whirling Death drops an enemy's health to or below Draven's current adoration stacks, it executes them instead. So I remember when I first saw this, I went to your room and I said, maybe there's actually merit to intentionally holding adoration stacks until a decisive fight. Like, rather than actually getting the kill, you just forego the kill, you get an assist instead, and you maintain the adoration stacks for, like, a more crucial fight. And I think that's basically what this adds.
I don't know. I mean, this is obviously a huge solo queue buff. I'm not sure if we're gonna see Draven in pro play, just because Draven's usually not picked a lot, and it's only played by specific players. But honestly, I do think Draven's really strong, so this is scary. I'm hoping we're gonna see him at Worlds because the champ is super interesting to me.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, we move on. I mean, Draven should be getting picked. I mean, it's also, I feel like it's a bigger buff to solo lane Draven than it is for AD carry Draven. And the reason that I say that is because generally when he's pressing R in a solo lane, it's actually to go for the kill. So the fact that he just gets a free execute, he has so much more lethal range now than he ever had before. That's gross. It's super gross. Okay, Dr.Mundo. R grants bonus HP on cast instead of healing for missing health. Healing over time decreased. Oh, so this is one of the workarounds to...
Yeah, this is... Yeah.
That's...
This is how they, like...
Oh, wow, you can't Grievous him.
Yes.
Oh, that's really gross. Wow.
But it's only his R, though. Like, arguably, his R is very underwhelming, and so is his W. I feel like the main spells of the champion are Q and E, so...
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I feel like this is I mean, it's definitely a nice buff. It is
nice,
definitely nice. Yeah.
It's nice, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's enough.
Yeah. The only way that this is a nerf... No, you can't even say that it's a nerf, because even in laning phase, where sometimes you just press it to stay in lane, the values are still the same.
This should be a buff, just because every champion has grievous wounds, especially in comparative. You already know everyone is building it.
Yeah, everyone and their mother has grievous wounds in competitive. Okay, so we move on to Fizz. Passive damage reduction increased against basic attacks. W base damage increased. R damage reduced. So this is a scary thing, because I feel like Fizz actually just got massive buffs. Like this is very out of left field. It comes out of nowhere. Passive Nimble Fighter, 4+1% ability power to 8+2% ability power damage reduction versus other sources unchanged. Okay. So Fizz is just a lot harder to move in laning phase. W Seastone Trident, 10 to 30 plus 35% ability power to 20 to 40. So just a flat 10 damage at rank 1. That's balanced. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You get old rank 3 Fizz W at rank 1 now. And then Chum the Waters. So Chum the Waters was nerfed. But I feel like the change to the passive and the W buff is just too much of a steroid anyway.
I mean, the thing about Fizz is that he's an ultimate mainly champion, and now they're trying to like shift it a bit away into passive and W. Because let's be honest, his passive was probably one of the worst passives in the game, and now it got a huge buff. But the thing is, like, I mean, personally, I don't think we're ever gonna see Fizz. I still think these changes are not enough for comparative. But in solo queue, obviously, some one chicks are probably, celebrating.
Mangofish is cheering right now somewhere.
Yeah.
That, this is what's happening. All right, so we move on to Gangplank. Now, it doesn't say that there's a bug fix, but that doesn't mean that it's not there in the later parts of the patch. Base health and health growth increased, so he's getting 30 flat HP, and then he's getting 8 HP a level. This gives him back, I think, actually, pretty much all of the HP that he was missing by not having the Grasp of the Undying procs. Yeah. This is actually very bizarre that they're just deciding to do this.
Yep, and also think like these buffs are just insane. Like, I don't see a reason, if the E bug fix doesn't get fixed, then I don't see a reason why he wouldn't just pick this champion every single game. Also don't see the reason why he wouldn't go mid lane in a lot of cases. This champion is just, I mean, his design is so like weird, because he just buys crit and just hopes he crits, and if he crits, your whole team dies.
All right, well, we move on to Jayce. I mean, I do think that Gangplank obviously should show up competitively at Worlds. So, no surprise that he's getting some attention. Jayce, passive duration decreased. Bonus movement speed and ghost duration is down by 0.5 seconds. That's actually a big deal for him chasing you throughout the lane.
Yep. This is huge. This change doesn't do anything to like, like casual Jayce players, or maybe like, I don't know, a bit below like Challenger or whatever. But like when it comes to Challenger gameplay, you need the movement speed to space so well, and this makes you gap close so many like champions and everything. This is a big nerf. I mean, we're still probably gonna see Jayce just because like he's still one of the best AD options. Like his items are still good, but it is like a huge nerf, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really big, especially for Worlds level of play. And I mean, obviously that's what they have in mind when they're nerfing him like this. Jinx, Q mana cost reduced for Fishbones. So the mana cost is going down at early ranks on Switcheroo. I don't feel like this is anything that's gating her from being picked. Like, there's no AD carry in the world that is looking at this and saying, oh yeah, this is exactly what I needed in order to do stuff with Jinx. I mean, usually people who are picking Jinx are already intending to go the distance. They're picking her in correct spots. They're not just like picking her anywhere. But also, this is such a minor change. Like,
I was so mad when I saw this change, because I play Jinx when I'm out of field in solo queue, and her mana costs are absurd compared to any AD carry I've ever played. Her W and E have 90 mana costs, I think at rank 5 both or whatever, and this is the problem with her. She just perma-goes and the new Presence of Mind doesn't help you, and you obviously don't want to take cookies. So yeah, this change makes no sense.
Yep. And okay, well, Kai'Sa E cooldown reduced later, so Supercharge is going to be on a 2-second lower cooldown in the later stages. I don't think this is impacting what is making Kai'Sa not a very useful champion, but who knows, maybe by World she does end up coming back. You know, you've definitely seen crazier things happen.
Yeah,
So.
I agree. This is not a huge buff, but the thing is, she doesn't, I think, naturally get a lot of CDR, so the buff is a little bit bigger when you cut 2 seconds. But she has just too many issues as a champion, other issues that E fix doesn't change.
Yeah. Okay, we move on. Kalista. Our knockup duration decreased early. Our Fate's Call. So the knockup duration is down by 0.5 seconds. These are super random, by the way. And this is what I was talking about the very beginning of the patch notes, where there's just a lot of changes, but it doesn't mean that the substance is really there. Now, don't get me wrong. 0.5 seconds off of Kalista's R at like rank 1 or something, yeah, it can be a big deal. The problem is that the differences at level 11, level 16, they're just not there, and they're not going to sway a pro team fight. And the other thing is that if you get solo killed by Kalista in laning phase early on, generally you made a blunder. The fact that she's in range to Fate's Call you, the fact that her and her support are ready to all in you, etc. There's probably other reasons that you're dying than the 0.5 seconds on the knockup duration.
I mean, I like the nerf because it nerfs her strongest part of the game, while at like level 11 and 16 she's gonna be the same, but this is where Kalista is naturally weak anyway, so I don't mind that they didn't touch that part. I like it.
All right, we move on to Karma. So Karma's gotten some changes recently, for sure. And base armor increased, E-shield base increased. Okay, so base armor is up by 2, and then Inspire is also up. So Inspire is up by 10. Okay, so it's just up by 10 at every rank. I mean, these are fine buffs, right? I mean, they're okay. It's like whatever, but yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, the karma changes that she got, like, they weren't like buffs, they were just like whatever changes. She just became more of an RQ than RE, but now they're giving her a bit more power, but I don't think this is enough. Like, Karma needs, I don't know what she needs. She needs better AP skills, I would say, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, we move on to Kog'Ma. EAP scaling increased. E Void Ooze 75 to 255 plus 50% ability power to 75 plus 255, or 75 to 255 plus 70% ability power. So he's just getting 20% ability power slapped onto him. The problem is that mages in general do not get extremely high AP values until like ultra late game. So while this is definitely going to be a buff, I don't know what this impacts for like any of his CSing or anything like that. I'm not sure if there's an interaction that this 20% AP actually impacts.
I think if he is and ults the backline, it still kills it the same way, so it doesn't really impact. Maybe early game? Nah, probably not.
Yeah, he's just getting a little bit of extra damage is pretty much the way to look at it.
Yeah, it just doesn't do enough. I mean, this is like, I don't know, his items are just not good enough, probably.
Okay, we move on to Lee Sin. Base attack damage decrease. Base stats. Base attack damage 70 to 68. Oh, no. Oh, my lord.
I mean, this is a fine area to nerf him at, but I think like Riot really needs to look at energy champions and how they're overstacking CDR and not running like out of energy. Lee Sin literally builds nowadays like 40% CDR or whatever, and just perma spams every spell and doesn't go out of energy, which I think is like kind of an issue. But also his Q cooldown is just way too low. I would rather look at that, but you know, I don't know.
Well, I do think that, you know, if he does get picked at Worlds, it's always going to just be in the play-ins and then maybe early group stages, and then I think he just gets phased out. So
I don't think so.
Okay, well, Lillia, health regen increase, passive healing on large monsters increase, Q&E cooldowns decrease. They're really trying to force Lillia, it seems, for Worlds.
Yeah, they are.
Base health is going to go down by 1. Health regen growth is going to go down by 0.2. Passive Dream-Laden Bow, 18 to 94 healing against large monsters to 27 to 104. Q Blooming Blows is going to extend for an extra second, which is really big. And then E Scroll Seed is going to go down by another 2 seconds. This is really big. I mean, these are nice for her.
I don't see a reason why she shouldn't be played. Also, like, we probably will see her in solo lane too. These changes are just too big, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Lillia, the issue with Lillia is that she's not designed to be a solo queue champion. She's mostly a competitive only, and for people that play Lillia, these are massive buffs for those players. Okay, Misfortune. Number of R waves increased. So I've talked a lot about Misfortune, about the Graves build on Misfortune. No one does it. EG's not at Worlds. We don't have Lord Danny's regards there, but Misfortune, I think, is actually totally viable, and everyone's just forgotten about her. I think just people were bored of her because she was everywhere, and she has such a bland playstyle that 80 carries got sick of her. And I feel like this like random buff that she's getting maybe helps put her back on the radar, but there's nothing preventing her from being played.
I 100% agree. I feel like she's like Ashe just took her spot or whatever,
Yeah.
but like there's no reason to play Ashe when you can play
Lethality,
Misfortune.
with Eclipse, Cyrilda's, and then, going whatever variation. Or if you want to go lethality plus crit, then you do the Eclipse plus Lord Dominic's, and then you move into the crit as well. So that way you get lethality and crit, and you still have close quarter combat, very akin to Graves. But no one's doing that. Every time people play Misfortune, they buy Gale Force. They're like, I need the active, or they build something else. They build Shield Bow. I got to be tanky or something. No, you don't. You just play lethality MF, and you just watch opponents die. I mean, that's basically the better way to play her. Okay, we move on. Morgana, E cooldown decreased. So I wouldn't say this is what's gating her, but getting 2 seconds shaved off is nice, but the problem is that she's going to be being played in support, not from jungle. So she's going to have less CDR. And so, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. This is just it's too safe of a buff.
This is just so Riot forces pro players to like put Morgana on the radar a little bit. And since like Rakan's been taking priority up, maybe we'll see her being picked into Rakan, but other than that, that's it.
All right, well, Qiyana, base attack speed increased, health regen decreased, Q against monsters increased, E plus Q combo targeting changed, E base damage decreased. All right, this is a lot of changes. Base attack speed is up 0.625 to 0.688. Health regen, 1.8 to 1.5. Edge of Ixtal, Elemental Wrath. You're in my element. Now does 25% bonus damage to monsters. Okay. If Qiyana's target begins a dash or teleport during her EQ buffer, Q will aim at their last position before dashing, teleporting. Wait.
I don't really get that, to be honest.
It means that you can actually avoid her Q.
I mean, that would be nice. It is the most unskilled ability in the game.
Yeah. Q will aim the last position you could see her target in. Okay, so her Q has now tracking. Her EQ combo has tracking, but you can also dodge it, which is better, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
But the thing is, these changes are not good enough because like they're trying to force into jungle, but I don't ever see a reason why she can be played in jungle. She needs way too much experience, and it's not like she has good matchups into any of the junglers. And also like the E nerf is huge for solo lane. That's so much damage lost.
It is for sure. The E nerf's really big for solo lane. I mean, 25% bonus damage. I don't know. Maybe Fnatic will pull it out at Worlds. Self-made, very big Qiyana fan. That's pretty much it.
Self-made's not on Fnatic.
We're gonna have to edit that one out. All right. Shit.
My God.
What year is it? I don't. What? All right. Renekton. All right. Speaking about what year it is, empowered W stun duration decreased. Empowered W lockout now matches normal W behavior. W ruthless predator 1.5 seconds to 1 second. Empowered self lockout 0.75 to 0.52 matches normal W. Okay.
Yeah, these are big changes. I mean, big nerfs, to be honest.
Take it away.
Like, yeah, I mean, I think these are big nerfs. Like, this is just Riot nerfing LPL, I guess, and LCK. I don't know. I mean, the empowered W, you use it because of the stun, not because of the damage. The stun is the power of everything, combining it with a jungle gank or whatever, right? And because now it stuns the same duration as the normal one, and a lot of people also have tenacity nowadays. This stun is almost not gonna last at all. So I guess you're just gonna use empowered Qs mainly now because this is just. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Renekton just is not played because of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just described it pretty perfectly, like why people combo him with certain things. And yeah, he's part of the bread and butter, and having the bread and butter get hit is something I always talk about in patch rundowns, right? Where Riot targets the actual ability causing the champion to exist. And if they do that, you will notice the champion does leave very quickly if you accurately target the correct ability. Now, speaking of that, let's move on to Rumble. Passive bonus attack speed decreased early, now scales with level. W cooldown decreased and no longer scales. Okay, so they just gave him back his W because this was the overheat mechanic that they were doing to get his passive, right? Yeah. They were using his W. And now what they've done is they've tagged his W. So you actually get more attack speed later in the game, but you're losing it early on, which I guess slows his clear speed. But I imagine that Rumble still has a fast clear speed, no?
I don't know. I personally think these are nerfs, to be honest. Especially for, like, I don't know. Like, I don't see why you would play this variation of Rumble than before. But also, like, I feel like Rumble was falling out of play anyway, even before the Riot did the nerfs. Like, I feel like less and less people played him because they got used to playing against him. So I don't see a reason why people would play him after these changes. Also, I think 30% attack speed loss is huge, and also 80% on max rank doesn't matter because Rumble is not using his passive late game ever, ever, ever.
That's true.
So
Right. So it just matters like what the number value is at level 9 or something. That's pretty much it. Okay, Singe. Damage dealt during R now applies Grievous Wounds. This is a nice buff. It really is. I mean, it's, it's something that he can just take.
I mean, yeah, because Singe is playing against all these Conquer, Gorginker champions, and they're all healing all the time while fighting him, so this is just good for
also,
him.
A lot of Singes would get Oblivion Orb, and then they would just sit on it for the entire game, but now they don't have to do that. Yeah, yes, this is really good. Yes. Okay, Soraka. All right, so they are buffing her. So R Wish, okay. So her R just now removes Grievous Wounds before healing. What?
It's kind of funny how Riot is trying to make like these healing intensive champions just like be anti-Grievous Wounds instead of just nerfing Grievous Wounds.
Yeah, that is actually kind of funny. Isn't
weird.
Isn't that very bizarre? That is really bizarre.
Yeah,
I mean, they're just all Morello shills. That's that's the problem. Yeah. Okay, so Soraka. I mean, you and I have already talked so much about her in the past. She's still totally viable. No one plays her. Reasons unknown. Moonstone Renewer with her R, her Q, and her W. The fact that Moonstone Renewer works on herself in laning phase is also really big. It's just really broken, but no one plays her. It's very weird. I think her best role right now might actually just be ADC. That way she still gets a pretty good amount of gold while, remaining really, really safe and not having issues. But, yeah. Okay, Taliyah. Casting Q on Work Ground now refunds its cooldown. Work Ground radius and duration decrease. Q Threaded Volley. Okay, so casting Threaded Volley on Work Ground now refunds 50% of the spell's cooldown. Work Ground radius 450 to 300. Work Ground duration 45 seconds to 25 seconds. So you can plant it more, I guess. Is that what's going on? And I mean, I think this is a buff for her. Yeah,
it's a buff, but there's no way you're gonna play Taliyah even after this change.
No one likes Taliyah.
No one is gonna play her. This champion is not a mid laner. Her Q cannot clear any wave, and she gets outscaled by everything immediately. Like, you cannot play this champ.
All right, we move on to Talon. Q-based damage. They just keep hitting him. They just keep hitting him, and they're trying to make him a jungler.
Just wait. They're gonna buff him the next patch.
Okay.
Just wait.
Q, Noxian Diplomacy. 65 to 165 to 65 to 145. Oh my god. W, Rake. Fancy Steak Knives. Now deals 50% bonus damage against monsters.
It doesn't matter.
They're really trying to make him a jungler.
This is... I mean, Talon is just taking over solo queue. It's understandable. Every bad Talon player builds Gorginker, does a random roam, and then just kills you with his base damage. I mean, I understand the nerfs. Like, the champion is unhealthy. It's okay.
All right. Well, we move on to Thresh, and I really want them to just redo his icon to the knight at the end, but whatever. Base movement speed decreased. That's actually a big hit. E-passive damage decreased early. Bonus damage per soul increased. Okay, move speed is down by 5. E-Flay, maximum passive bonus magic damage, 100 to 200% AD plus 1 per soul to 80 to 200% attack damage plus 1.5 per soul.
No matter how you look at it, this is just a huge nerf.
How many souls does he get?
Don't know, but it doesn't matter because who cares about bonus magic damage on E? At like certain point, it doesn't even matter anymore. I mean,
right, but isn't it just a buff? His E?
No. I mean, his E is maybe a buff, but it doesn't matter because the champion never uses auto attack after a certain point anyway. So I just look at the 5 moon speed and I can just imagine how many times this champion will die more because of it now. Okay. But also, like, players who don't buy Moby Boots are a little bit more nerfed than players who buy Moby Boots, and Moby Boots are not like very good. So
well, this is all true. Okay. We move on to Trundle. E-Slow decreased. E-Pillar Vice, 32 to 60% to 30 to 46%. Oh, no.
I mean,
it is big. It is, like, it's somewhat big, but even at rank 3, I mean, it's still doing its job. It's still doing its job at rank 3.
I think it's kind of huge, but, like, why doesn't, like, I don't understand, like, if you nerf, like, they're nerfing his main ability, right? This ability is super passive. It's, like, his main thing. But why not, like, buff something else while we're at it? Because, like, Why not just shift the power a little bit? I agree that Pillar is so annoying. So many champs can play because of it, but I don't know why. I mean, it's kind of weird to see just a nerf with no compensation.
I mean, I've asked that question a million times over, you know? Why doesn't Riot do shifts in power rather than just outright nerfs? But, you know, never an answer. Speaking of things, Twitch, our bonus AD increased. Our spray and pray, 30 to 60 to 40 to 70. So he just gets a longsword now every time that his R is active. I mean, that's nice.
They're really... Yeah, they're buffing his R. I mean, it's, like, his R buffs are not the strongest place to buff him because his R is such a like unique ability. You can use it so many times and duration is so short. But I guess maybe it makes it so he buys a little bit more attack speed and now it like he can do more autos in the short duration while he gets more AD. Also, I think this ability might be like one of the highest AD abilities that it gives you. Like I don't think like Vayne matches this anymore or other champions.
Yeah.
But I mean, probably not gonna see Twitch, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. Urgot, Q cooldown and mana cost reduced. Q corrosive charge, 12 to 8 seconds to 10 to 8 seconds. Mana cost gonna go from 80 to 70. Okay. Yeah, it's not gonna make Urgot viable.
Yeah, ever since Riot Games nerfed the Hydra interaction on Urgot, this champion is straight up garbage. Bye bye.
All right, we have Varus, base AD decreased, passive, bonus stack speed decreased early, but increases with levels. So, base AD down by 2, passive, Living Vengeance, 20 to 10, 15, 20. So he gets it back at level 13, but he is losing quite a bit of attack speed early on, and even in mid-game. These are actually very big Varus hits. Now, the passive Living Vengeance, I mean, it's not always going to come into play because sometimes you are just only poking with his Q. So, really, it's just the 2AD nerf, but, you know, it is something to talk about.
Yep, I mean, 2AD nerfs his lethality build pretty well. Might see less of Varus in comparative. I think he got R nerf too, if I remember correctly, like a patch ago or something, where his R is now also longer cooldown, so might not see Varus anymore.
Well, speaking about our champion that we never see, Yone, W shielding per champion hit after the first increase. So shielding per champion hit after the first, 25% of base to 50% of base. So I remember that you and I already had the conversation about this where it's very unlikely that you're going to hit multiple champions with your W. The only way that you ever do this is in the event that you get a fate sealed off and you drag 2 or 3 people along for the ride. That is usually the only time where something like that happens. So while it is a buff, it's not the thing that's gating Yone from being competitively viable.
Yep, and I mean, you already know my opinion on these changes. I think this does not do anything, and we're not going to see Yone because this champion cannot get out of lane, and he cannot hit ult on any competent player in high elo. So, and he's too resource hungry, and he doesn't do anything when he's behind. So, we're not going to see him.
All right, well, passive cooldown decreased for Yuumi. Passive bop and block, 18 to 6 seconds to 14 to 6 seconds. That is a very... That is, why would they just take 4 seconds off her rank 1? What?
I think Yuumi is like, honestly, I mean, she's not like, people don't
She's not
like
bad. People forgot about her.
She's not bad. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. It's just like she has this boring playstyle where she has to scale and get out of lane and not do anything. And then she has to be attached to people. And it's a bit harder maybe to play the game than it is with like a normal Loana or something. But this champion, like, this just helps her, like, in matchups, like, free matchups. Let's say you're picking her against Braum. I mean, this is just free buff for her. And then she just scales. And she's not bad. It's just pro players have to be willing to play according to her. And this is something they're bad at.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I pretty much agree with everything that you just said. I mean, I do think that we could see Yuumi at Worlds, but, you know, I wouldn't, you know, necessarily count on it, per se. Zed, passive deals bonus damage against monsters. So they're really trying to make him a jungler as well. Passive Contempt for the Weak now deals 100% bonus damage against monsters, still capped at 300 against epic monsters. That is pretty interesting. Because his clear, when originally the jungle Zed stuff came out, the clear, you could find ways to, like, clear on him relatively okay. And he does only need, like, 2 items to kill the same champions over and over and over, right? He doesn't need a whole lot of gold. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he'll end up in the jungle, even if, like, Riot does try to shift him into it. But I think for solo queue, it's really big.
This is big, yeah. Also, I think I saw a thread where, like, on PBE, his jungle clear was, like, very fast, I think. for like a jungle clear because of this buff. So maybe we'll see something. I don't know.
Zoe, E cooldown decrease. Zoe was putting way too many champions to sleep, both in senses of the word, so we increased her E cooldown back in 9.6. Now she's no longer terrorizing her enemies as much. We're reverting the nerf so she can contribute more throughout a fight, prepare for trouble, and make it bubble. Okay, there's a Team Rocket reference. So they are shaving 4 seconds off her E at rank 1. Okay, very nice. And then 2 seconds in the later stages. If her E is like up every 6 seconds and it's just sitting on the ground and, you know, even when she misses, she does become kind of scary, constantly just spitting out E's like every few seconds.
I know that if she plays against a no tenacity user and she lands an E and then Everfrost and then E, she actually gets the time to E again on like max cooldown.
Oh.
And like there's a scenario where that happens. I know that for sure. But the thing is, like, they're buffing her strongest point, which is always usually one item spike champion that just falls down after. And usually she's like level 10 plus anyway at that point. So this is where he becomes oppressive. But after that, she's just going to naturally fall down. It's a bigger buff for solo queue than it is for competitive.
Yep. All right, we move on to Raven. I mean, I do want to just end that by saying that I do think that Zoe probably will be picked by Korean and Chinese mid laners, probably. Yeah, actually, quite a bit. But I'm not sure about... I don't think by Western mid laners. Items, Ravenous Hydra, Turret Cleave. Ravenous Hydra no longer activates on turrets. Same happens for Titanic Hydra. So these are just minor nerfs, right? That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything, really.
Yeah. Okay. Umbral Glave. So they actually kind of went the route that I suggested with it. My suggestion was that you make this item 2,100 gold, you take off some of the AD, and you take off a little bit of the lethality. That way you get it really early on as like a jungler or something, right? Because that makes it like a playstyle thing. 2,400 gold, I think I would still rather just hold my components and spend another 600 on LDR or like Cyrilda's or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
I don't
also like Rat Sweep is so overtuned, solo cooldown, and so easy to use. Like you don't really need to Umbral Glaive that much.
Okay, now we move on to Predator. Increasing Predator's ganking power to push it up to pro viability for junglers who gotta go fast. Former users Skarner, Hecarim, and Lillia. So move speed, ramp up time, 1.5 to 1 second. Maximum movement speed is up by 15%. So you actually get tier 2 boots added to Predator. So that is going to be pretty...
I think people are sleeping on Predator because so many keystones I feel like are so bad. And Predator is also something that people are not used to playing against because it hasn't been played in such a long time and it's gonna caught people off surprise.
Yeah.
So not bad.
So this is pretty interesting. So I am looking currently at the bug fixes and it does not seem like Gangplank is actually there.
Yeah.
So Gangplank is going to survive and that is going to mean that he should be on everyone's list come Worlds. So in terms of like a meta shifting patch, it's not actually a meta shifting patch at all. There's basically no meta shift in here unless Fizz somehow starts getting a lot of priority and Misfortune, who already should have been being played, starts getting played. That's really it. The remainder of this is they didn't do anything. Like this is not... I don't know how Riot thinks that this is a patch that changes the world's meta. Maybe Zoe?
A little bit. Like a little bit.
It's so minor. This is not what you do.
A little bit nerfed. But it's not gonna matter.
Oh my god, we're gonna have the same meta as Summer. I mean, we're gonna have some differences, but it's gonna be so similar. Oh, It's gonna be so sad. And the reason that I say that is because the champions that are gonna start appearing are not meta warpers. They do not cause the meta to bend around them. Thus making other champions that are not actively being played start getting played in order to contest them. That's what I mean by that. So I guess that's pretty much it. We do not have access to the skins. You guys know that I do get the patch notes from Riot early, and sometimes the skins and everything do bug out, so unfortunate there. We are now able to look at the skins and the chroma. And then what we have coming up is the Void Clash. That's actually a pretty cool name, September 18th and 19th. So the patron will be updated. I know that it wasn't updated on the last patch because there just weren't enough changes, but the patron for solo queue and Clash will be updated this time around with everything. And I think that's pretty much it for this patch. So honestly, Lemon, I'm feeling a little underwhelmed.
gonna be exciting watching Worlds.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. That is it for the patch notes, guys. Hopefully the mage item rework in preseason and all this other stuff is something to actually look forward to, because honestly, I feel like Riot is just being way too Captain Care Bear with a lot of their changes constantly, and it's really disappointing to have seen the giant list of changes for Worlds, them say that they wanted to like actually do something for Worlds, and then this is what we get. This is like when your parents tell you that they got you the exact present that you know that you, or that they know that you want for your birthday, and then you open it and it's just not what you wanted. So it's what they wanted. I don't know. But that's it, guys. All right, so see you later. Bye.
Bye bye.